Words of a Shogun, timeless wisdom from Tokugawa Ieyasu. Today we're talking about Tokugawa Ieyasu, a legendary leader who wasn't just a tough guy with a sword. This shogun, the founding father of the Tokugawa era in Japan, was a strategic genius whose ideas hold weight even today. Forget everything you think about warlords, Ieyasu was the ultimate mastermind. So, what was his secret sauce? Patience. For starters, he wasn't one for rash decisions. Instead, he played the long game, making smart alliances and sizing up his opponents with laser focus. He could adapt his plans in a heartbeat, always keeping it real, with a healthy dose of pragmatism. Loyalty was his middle name, and he prepared for anything, leaving nothing to chance. He even mastered the art of building a good reputation. Think of him as the original spin doctor. But the most surprising ingredient? Subtlety. Ieyasu wasn't about brute force, he was all about achieving his goals with finesse. Tokugawa Ieyasu's story isn't just about winning battles, it's about the timeless wisdom that led him to victory. By unraveling his strategies, we can discover a treasure trove of leadership principles that pave the way for success in any field, across cultures, and throughout history. Buckle up, because we're about to dive into the genius of Tokugawa Ieyasu. Forget all about gung-ho warlords. Tokugawa Ieyasu, the founder of Japan's Tokugawa era, was anything but reckless. His secret weapon? Patience. While others might have charged in headfirst, Ieyasu played the waiting game. He carefully watched the situation unfold, waiting for the perfect moment to make his move. This wasn't about sitting on his hands. He was busy building alliances and planning every step. This approach wasn't just some random strategy. In the chaotic battle of Sekigahara in 1600, Tokugawa's patience proved to be pure genius. He'd lined up powerful allies beforehand, then held his horses until exactly the right moment to strike. This cool-headedness secured his victory and ultimately, his rule over Japan. Tokugawa's story shows that sometimes, the best way to win is to wait, plan, and then pounce when the time is just right. Imagine Tokugawa Ieyasu, legendary leader of Japan, building his empire. But instead of conquering everyone himself, he did something way smarter. He knew there's strength in numbers, so he started making friends with all the important dudes, the daimyos, kind of like regional lords. Guys like Date Masamune and Honda Tadakatsu became his besties. Here's the cool part, Ieyasu didn't just collect buddies like Pokemon cards. He invested time and effort in these friendships, making them super strong. These alliances became the foundation of his power, like the solid base of a skyscraper. With all these allies on his side, he was one step closer to uniting all of Japan under his Tokugawa rule. Pretty impressive, right? In the theater of war, knowledge is power, and Tokugawa wielded this axiom with precision. His approach to warfare transcended mere brute force, it was a meticulous dance of intelligence and observation. By maintaining vigilant surveillance over his adversaries, Tokugawa gleaned invaluable insights into their motivations, strengths, and vulnerabilities, thereby gaining a decisive edge in the intricate game of psychological warfare. A hallmark of Tokugawa's leadership was his remarkable adaptability in the face of adversity. Whether confronted with the shifting tides of the Battle of Kamakinagakut or the tumultuous Osaka campaigns, he demonstrated a keen ability to pivot and evolve his strategies on the fly. This nimbleness of thought enabled Tokugawa to navigate through the most turbulent of times, seizing upon unforeseen opportunities and mitigating unforeseen challenges with equal aplomb. Tokugawa Ieyasu, the leader who built Japan's Tokugawa era, wasn't one for fancy theories or unrealistic dreams. When it came to running the country, he was all about what worked. He based his decisions on facts and logic, not just what sounded good. Take his dealings with European countries, for example. Back then, Europe was way ahead in terms of cool weapons and making serious money. Ieyasu knew this, and instead of shutting them out, he saw an opportunity. He made deals with the Europeans, figuring he could learn from their tricks and maybe even get some sweet new tech. This might seem obvious to us today, but back then, it was a pretty smart move. This focus on practical solutions is what made Tokugawa such a great leader. He wasn't afraid to break the mold and do what was necessary to keep Japan stable and secure. In a world full of stubborn rulers, his willingness to be pragmatic was refreshing, and it helped him build a lasting legacy. Loyalty was the glue that held Tokugawa Ieyasu's empire together. This Tokugawa shogun, the founding father of Japan's Tokugawa era, understood that people fight harder when they feel valued. He surrounded himself with allies who were fiercely loyal, and he made sure they knew it was a two-way street. Here's the deal, if his allies were down with him, he took care of them. He showered them with gifts, land, and basically treated them like VIPs. This wasn't just about being nice, it was smart leadership. When his allies felt appreciated and protected, they were more likely to stick by his side, come what may. This loyalty thing wasn't just about personal gain, though. Tokugawa built a team that believed in a bigger goal, a stable and prosperous Japan. By making his allies feel like part of something important, he created a strong and united front. This loyalty, built on trust and shared purpose, is what kept Tokugawa in power for a long, long time. Imagine Tokugawa Ieyasu, the mastermind behind Japan's Tokugawa era, as a super-prepared chess champ. He wasn't just good at reacting to his opponent's moves, he was like 3 moves ahead, thinking about every single possibility. Battles and situations can change in a heartbeat, but Ieyasu wasn't sweating it. He was like a Boy Scout, always prepared. He'd come up with all these different plans, like layers in a cake, for any situation that might arise. If his enemy attacked here, he had a plan. If they went there, he had another one ready to go. This way, there were no surprises. He turned uncertainty, that feeling of what if, into a sure thing. By being so prepared, he could take advantage of any opportunity and squash any threats before they became problems. Pretty slick, right? This meticulous planning wasn't just for war. Ieyasu applied it to everything he did. It made him a confident and powerful leader, because he knew he could handle whatever came his way. In a world full of chaos, his preparation was like a superpower. Consider the leader responsible for creating the Tokugawa era in Japan, Tokugawa Ieyasu, as a brilliant image maker. The way you were perceived by others was just as significant as your true identity in those days. Ieyasu knew this, and he worked hard to cultivate a super strong reputation. He wasn't just concerned about looking good in front of his own people, either. He cared about how other countries perceived him too. By controlling how people saw him, Ieyasu could achieve some pretty cool stuff. He could convince allies to join him, scare off enemies who might mess with him, and basically project an image of being so powerful, nobody would dare challenge him. Even if things weren't exactly as strong as they seemed, this image of invincibility was a powerful tool. So, how did he do it? Well, Ieyasu was meticulous. He carefully crafted his public image, making sure everything he did reinforced this idea of him being a strong and unstoppable leader. It sounds a bit like a celebrity managing their social media today, but way more important. By controlling the narrative, Tokugawa turned perception into a strategic advantage. Forget flashy leaders who crave attention. Tokugawa Ieyasu, the founder of Japan's Tokugawa era, was all about keeping things under wraps. He knew there was power in staying out of the limelight, in being a bit of a shadow player. Instead of surrounding himself with glitz and glam, Ieyasu kept a low profile. This way, he could stay focused and alert, always keeping a watchful eye on everything happening around him. Think of it like this: while his enemies were busy bragging and drawing attention to themselves, Ieyasu was silently working behind the scenes, making his moves and keeping his plans close to his chest. This invisibility wasn't a sign of weakness, it was a secret weapon. By staying hidden, he avoided unwanted scrutiny and kept his enemies guessing. It sounds strange, but sometimes being the quiet one in the room gives you the biggest advantage. This approach wasn't just about avoiding trouble. It also allowed Ieyasu to maintain control. By staying out of the spotlight, he could make decisions and take action without everyone watching his every move. It was like having the element of surprise on his side all the time. In the ruthless world of power, Ieyasu's mastery of invisibility was a secret weapon that helped him stay on top for a long time. Tokugawa Ieyasu, the founder of Japan's Tokugawa era, wasn't your average leader. Forget hotheads and glory seekers, this guy was a master strategist who built a lasting legacy. Patience was his superpower. He waited for the perfect moment to strike, not just charging in blindly. But he wasn't all about waiting, he was also a master of alliances, building a strong team of loyal companions. And let's not forget information. Ieyasu knew everything about his enemies, their strengths, and weaknesses. It was like having a cheat sheet for every battle. He was also adaptable, ready to change plans in a heartbeat if needed. Plus, he was a pragmatist. Fancy ideas were nice, but results were king. But Ieyasu wasn't just a tough guy. He understood the power of reputation, carefully crafting an image of invincibility. And lastly, he wasn't afraid of a little mystery. Sometimes, staying out of the spotlight and keeping your plans hidden can be your biggest advantage. Tokugawa Ieyasu's story isn't just about conquering Japan. It's a treasure trove of leadership lessons for anyone who wants to achieve success. He teaches us to be patient, build strong alliances, gather information, and adapt to changing situations. He shows us the value of being practical and the importance of reputation. And finally, he reminds us that sometimes, the quietest person in the room is the one you should watch out for. So, the next time you're facing a challenge, take a page out of Tokugawa Ieyasu's playbook. It might just lead you to greatness. I am Ryan.